Hi everyone! Hopefully you'll know by now that this week you've been asked to bring in food as part of our celebration of harvest. So our assembly this afternoon is looking at what is a harvest festival. It won't just be me talking the whole way through. Sometimes I'll ask you a question. So if you remember to pause the video when that happens and talk to the person next to you, you can then press play and keep going. So the aims of the assembly this afternoon are just to understand what the harvest is and when it happens, to understand why it's celebrated, and to understand why it's so important this year. Okay, so here's your first question to talk to the person next to you, remembering to pause the video so you get a chance to speak. Okay, so what is a harvest festival? Can you remember? Hopefully, you remembered that a harvest festival is a celebration of the food that is grown on the land. Celebrations giving thanks for our food happen in many countries around the world. In this country, harvest festivals are often celebrated in churches by bringing baskets of food to give thanks to God. People enjoy singing, praying, listening to stories, and decorating the church. Time for another question, so don't forget to pause the video after I've asked it to you. So talk to the person next to you. Why might celebrating harvest be so important in the past? The answer is that in the past, it wasn't as easy to find food in the winter. It was important that farmers brought the harvest in before the cold weather came so that there was enough food until the spring. Now we bring food in from all around the world. Fruits and vegetables are available for us to buy at all times of the year. Harvests from all around the world allow us to enjoy different foods at any time of the year. Can you think of a fruit that you enjoy that maybe isn't grown all year round in this country? Strawberries are one example. A strawberry is only grown in this country in the spring and summer, whereas now you can eat them all year round because they're grown in warmer climates. Okay, so in a second, pause the video and talk to the person next to you. Why is harvest celebrated? So the harvest is celebrated to give thanks for the crops which have been safely harvested. Christians thank God for the food during harvest. Christians also believe that God made the world and everything in it, and they also thank God for the variety of food and everything that helps the food to grow. So when is the Harvest Festival? Well, in Britain, harvest festivals are traditionally held on or near the Sunday of the harvest moon. This is the full moon that happens closest to the autumn equinox, which is around the 23rd of September. So it's usually in September, but some years it is in October. Talk to your partner again after pausing the video. Why do you think collecting food might be so important this year compared to in other years? Unfortunately, because of the COVID-19 or coronavirus pandemic, many people across the country have lost their jobs or are on furlough, so they're not able to receive all of their wages. At Radstock, we collect food to give to Woodley Food Bank, a charity set up to collect food to give out to families who can't afford to buy enough food for themselves. So how do we harvest our food? Well, before we harvest it, we need it to grow. So hopefully you remember the seeds are planted and food begins to grow, and then they grow bigger, and if they have fruit, it starts to ripen. When the plants are ready to be harvested, the farmer collects the grains, fruit and vegetables ready for us to eat. Some fruit, vegetables and grains are harvested by hand and some are harvested by machine. So have a look at these pictures here and see if you can work out what the plant is and then whether it's harvested by hand or by machine. I'll give you the answers on the next slide, so pause the video for a moment. So top left was tea and it's harvested by hand, as you can see by the lady in the picture. The top middle is cauliflower and it's harvested by machine. The top right is apple and it's harvested by machine as well. On the bottom left, potatoes are harvested by machines, whilst cocoa, which makes chocolate, is harvested by hand, and then corn is also harvested by machine. So we've reached the end of our assembly today, so I just want you to think for a minute. Maybe close your eyes, maybe look out of the window, but just have a think. Because although we get our food from all over the world now, the harvest is still an important time of year, especially for all those people who work to grow our food. So when you're sitting down to a meal today, have a think about the people who've worked hard to ensure a good harvest this year, including farmers, fruit pickers, and gardeners. Also think about how lucky you are to have food compared to those families who are in need. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you all again soon.